Yeah, by the way, James, you don't need to ask whether there's no classes. No? So, default yun. Pag walang announcement, ibig sabihin tuloy-tuloy ang klase na. So, nandiyan ka ba, James? Are you there? Okay, nandiyan ka, James? Kasi ikaw yung maaga nag-chat eh. Wala nang ganun tanong. Default pag walang announcement, ibig sabihin tuloy ang klase. Okay. Okay. So hindi na kailangan magtanong ng ganun. I will announce ahead of time. We won't meet. So by default, we are meeting. Okay? So yan yung ano natin. So as per schedule tayo, no? Kapag walang announcement, no? Sometimes I will be late, I will announce through the chat group. Ganun lang yan. Kahit sa face to face, no? If we will have face to face next week, no? So I will let you know if I will come early or on time. Yan. So let's just wait for 1 or 2 before we start our session. By the way, we're live at our YouTube channel, no, for recording purpose. We'll continue with special factoring. I think we're now done with special product. We'll be doing factoring, fractions, and then we'll dig into exponents and radicals. No? So though this is a past change, no, you cannot compare school math where there is a lot of time allotted for topic. So we are doing this only for 1 semester, no, algebra for 1 semester. So there's a past pace here. So of course the readings are up. So it's just your responsibility to read the required readings per week. And of course, it's good thing the material had provided solved problems for you where you could practice your whatever the topic, no? So anyway, so make sure all of you will be here, no? Whether online or starting next week, because I'm planning to give a lot of practice sets by starting next week. No? Yun yung ano natin. All right, so one way pop up, then we'll start. James, you're staying there at Bethany?
Hindi po, sir.
Nasaan ka ngayon?
Dito po sa Samar.
Samar. Samar.
Yes po.
And Maymay is where? South Cotabato, no? Tama, Maymay?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. So yung malalayo pa yung nauna, no? Nasaan na yung mga homeboys natin? Saka yung iba. Baka hinihintay nila yung announcement ko sa chat group. Pag wala announcement, tuloy lang. No, yun yung default natin. Pag wala announcement, tuloy ang class. So unless katulad kahapon, so there's a suspension. Yeah, I think last Tuesday because of the typhoon, no? So there's suspension of classes. Naghihintay sila ng chat. Pag walang announcement, ano na, bonus na lang yun na magkaroon. Welcome, Bal.
Hello, sir.
Yan. Yung malalayo, nauna pang mag-ano, no? So, yan. I-chat ko na rin. No? Pag walang chat, tuloy lang ang class natin. Yun ang default. No? Normally, I announce ahead of time whether I cannot come to the class or being late. Okay, let's open a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity where we could continue our week number 3 for MAT121. college and advanced algebra. I pray, Lord, for your grace and mercy to us, sufficiency, that we may learn from this, both learning and teaching experience, and as pre-service teachers that will be able to gain from this not only the concepts and the computation, but also the manner where we could communicate these things, we could teach these things or facilitate this information to our future students. So help us, Lord, and may your grace and mercy be upon us as we continue throughout the day. This is our prayer in Christ's name. Amen. All right, welcome. No, while waiting for others. So nevertheless, I really don't really wait for student to come in. No? Normally on time appointed, I'll start lecturing. Anyway, this is recorded. You may catch up. No? You may directly subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to, because sometimes yung link hindi ko agad-agad na i-attach sa ating classroom. So I already, week number 2 is up already. So we have many things that we have discussed there, particularly the operations of algebraic expressions. So these are just a review. No? By the way, most of you have received already the results of your diagnostic tests. So, ayan, so at least I know your capacity, your potential for this course. No? Ayan, no? And I hope no na in future time, no, in the future we yung ating kasi may rule din ako dito sa school or sa course natin that late submission is no submission at all, no? So I practice that when I set a deadline. There will be no after deadline, no more. All right? So actually, 2 of you, I don't know if wala dito no? 2 of you have failed to test diagnostic, no? So I still consider them until midnight. Yung kanilang submission. Pero huli na yan, whenever I set deadline, no? Whether it's an online activity or an actual activity in classroom, no? Sabay yun, no? I think Val, you'll be staying there in Cambodia, no? So you'll be joining us online as we have our face-to-face at Bethany. So you will be synchronizing with your classmates, no? That is physically present. Now, while they're doing their drills and activity, you will also have your share, but it will be an online version. Okay, so when they start, you will start. When they stop or passing their paper, you will also pass your upload or whatever I will instruct. No? So yun yung mangyayari doon. So kasi, ayan. Okay ba yun, Val? So I think, and some of you, James and Maymay pala, no? Ano nyo, you still go online even in face-to-face? What's the plan for you?
Online din po, sir.
Online.
Yes po, sir.
So, ang malamang mamimit ko lang doon yung 2 houseboys, no? Sino pa bang doon? So anyway, so 2 pa lang gagawin ko. I will print something and then I will also do some online siguro. Sige. So ganun 'yon, no? So may mga activity tayong may time frame, no? So it will be activity driven tayo by starting 4th week because of the face-to-face. So make sure your connection is okay, no? There's no disconnection on the duration of the class. So definitely we will have a maximum of 3 hours because we are a full class. That's lagpas pa nga tayo nakaraan 3 hours 14 minutes tayo. Lagpas tayo. All right? So, yan. So, you're still a minority. We're still waiting for the 4 of you. But nevertheless, that's my rule, no? So late submission is no submission at all. Okay? Whether that's that's a classroom activity or an assignment, no? I seldom give an assignment because Yan, baka there's a tendency, no? Though I'm not saying it generally to all students, there's tendency to not for you to do the assignment, but to just Google your assignment. So yan yung iniiwasan natin. No? Of course, Googling an assignment is not learning at all. So you're just depending on the technology. And dependence on technology is not necessarily learning. No, you need to know how the technology acquire the information for you. No, not just allowing technology to acquire independently, no. So walang learning doon. So pwede naman siyang gamitin, no. So we could use teka nga, yung sound check ko nga yung ano. So yung YouTube natin, no. No. Pero yung tatlo nandiyan, yung apat nandiyan, no. Doon sa Bible doctrine class nyo. Tama ba? They're present.
I think yes, sir.
Yeah. Right. I'm just viewing my YouTube ano. So, at an average naman, so an average okay yung diagnostic. Yung iba lang talaga need to need to rectify. Unfortunately, one does not follow the instruction properly. So, yan. So, nagkaroon ng very problematic yung sinabit niya. Yung isa yung estudyante, I won't mention the name. And the others are just really non-submission. So technically, their score will not be, if they perfect the score, they will not be perfect because it will just be half of the score. So, since ano na yun, chance na yun, no? So, instead of receiving 0 from the diagnostic test, so the two of your classmates were actually, or 3 actually, 3 were asked to submit until midnight their diagnostic. Okay, guys. So pag may mga deadline tayo, wag nyong baliwalain na kahit online. Okay ba 'yon, May James and Val?
Yes po, sir.
Pag deadline, ang deadline ko naman hindi siya immediate eh. It could take a few days or even a week. Whenever I require something. Kapag lumagpas doon, non-submission, so I will make it 0. 0 na 'yun. And we don't want that to affect our grade. Nevertheless, so though yung diagnostic will not affect you quantitatively, it will not be part of your online exam. It will not be part of your sandali lang guys, I need to monitor my audio. So I will make it 0. 0 na 'yun. Alright, so yun, 0 na 'yun. So delay lang ng mga 20 seconds yung sinabi ko kanina. But anyway, my YouTube is working. So I will paste the recording later. No? So yun, guys, yun, pag mayroon ng tayong submission, we submit on time. No? So hindi tayo magkakaproblema doon sa bagay na yun. Alright. So do you have question on your diagnostic? Yung iba, yung isa, yung meron kasing hindi niya siguro na-gets yung instruction, pero yan, pinaulit ko rin. Pero yung iba, siguro limited time, pressured sa time, no? I would understand that, hindi na sagot lahat. In fact, hindi objective na sagutan lahat, at least a representative of each of the questions. So that's actually summarizes your high school algebra. All right? So what you have taken in your diagnostic test is a preparatory to what we will be learning more on this class, no? Alright, so sige. Mag-ano na tayo ng ating ano. So even the supplements I uploaded. Remember, yung in-upload natin may mga solved problems. So you could make practices of that. No? You could practice. No? At kung may mock question kayo, you could could always halimbawa regarding the solved problems, no? you could PM me anytime. So I hope all of you are my friends at Facebook and we are connected even in the messenger. So if there are some questions regarding the solved problems, no, or even the concepts, you PM me, no. And then may mga supplements pa tayo diyan, hindi na natin siya Okay, factoring tayo ngayon, no. So this is the opposite process for your special product is factoring. All right? So I suppose you already knew. By the way, can you mention those forms for special products? Still recall? Can you mention one form of a special product? Either my James or Bal. Can you name okay, halimbawa, instance, sum and difference of a binomial. What's the result? Difference of two squares. Okay, so yung form doon, yung special product form, sum and difference of a binomial. In the form x plus y times x minus y. That's one form. Or another form would be a monomial multiplied by a binomial or trinomial. So for instance, you have a times the quantity x plus y, that will become ax plus ay. So that's an example. You just merely distribute the monomial outside the parenthesis or the grouping symbol, and the result would be whatever, a trinomial or a binomial. Can you give other forms aside from the two that I have mentioned as part of our review?
Square of a binomial po.
Binomial, square of a binomial. Are you referring to the square of a binomial?
Opo. A plus B
Square.
square. Oo, parenthesis squared.
Sige, generalize it. A plus minus B, quantity squared. Anong sagot? Pag A minus, pag A plus minus ang nakalagay. Ano magiging sagot nun?
Ano po? A minus B.
A plus minus, A squared plus minus A plus minus B, quantity squared. Anong magiging answer?
Ano po? A squared plus 2AB plus B squared.
Pero pwede rin siyang yung second term, pwede rin minus. So it could be A squared plus minus 2AB plus B squared.
Yes.
Okay, kasi may option tayo to, ngayon yung negative shifts from past, take note of the form, no, of the format, no, so it's always positive, negative, alternate form siya pag difference of a binomial. Of course, we have learned also the cube of a binomial, no, cube, or other forms aside from that, no, there are other forms that we may discover sooner or later. Okay, so guys, it takes time to read, no, so I suggest you read all of the solved problems, because from those solved problems I will derive my exams for you, of course including some questions, or I may vary the solved problems, no. That's why the readings, the readings is your responsibility. Okay, and that's why I intended all of the curricular content to be uploaded week per week already, so that you may read ahead of time, or since we are a little bit lagging because of course week 1 we may not teach at all, we may not have a lesson because of it's just an orientation. So definitely sooner or later we'll be catching up, no? So your reading, your responsibility is to read ahead of time, guys, and to solve problems, perhaps to work on the problems by yourself, no, though there are solved problems, no, the solution may help you your computational skills as well, and then sooner or later, no, I may throw questions from you. I'll get questions from our board exam problems, no? So that's it. So factoring is an opposite of special product. So here, okay, Val, what is the technique used for letter A of example 5.1? By the way, this is 7x squared minus 7x. I think there's a lacking minus there, no? Typographical siya. X squared minus 7x plus 6, that becomes x minus 1 times x minus 6. What do you call that format? Abal, can you,
So is that the whole thing?
or
Like, from the
perhaps the manner that you will solve the problem, what do you call that? How do you describe it?
Um, so is that from the x squared 7x, or the answer of the solution of
The solution, no, I'm not asking for the solution, but the manner where we could arrive at the answer. Can you describe to us how will you arrive at that answer?
with factors, sir?
The factors.
Mm.
Did you arrive at x minus 1 times x minus 6? May, can you be my secretary?
I don't know how to explain,
Excuse
sir.
me, Val. No? May, can you be my secretary? Recording the attendance, no? So take note the 4 are absent. Sige.
Okay po, sir.
Kasi kung 9:20 tayo, so by this time dapat walang notice, no? By the way, ito guys, pag-a-absent kayo prior notice, no? Wag niyo akong bubulagain na on that time. Kahit may pirma pa ni Pastor Nable yan. Yung walang bulagaan sa klase, no? So it should be ahead of time, a day ahead of time, a day ahead of the schedule. You ask permission. Okay? I will understand if it's a ministerial purposes or life and death situation. So these are obvious excusable absence, but not during the blink or few minutes after the class. You will chat me, sir, I cannot go. Blah blah blah, no? So walang ganon. So I could still overrule if even Dr. Nable would endorse, or perhaps if Dr. Nable personally message me, that's I could but you're just telling me it's approved by, and even on the time of the class, I will not respect that excuse, even it is approved by your pastor or even Dr. Nable, kasi even Dr. Nable won't agree with that, eh. No, yung basta na lang tayo absent sa klase or late, no? Pagpalagay natin tardy sila, wag ganon. So a day up before, no? Pero kung halimbawa kung yan naman ay emergency, yes, no, that's probable. No, probable. Pero dapat mag-communicate. No, communicate with the right channel. Go directly to me as your professor. Kasi minsan pag maraming channel ay baka kung saan pupunta yung communication. So I'm the affected teacher, so you communicate to me directly. If it is ministerial, I could pray for you, no? For you, because that's a valid reason, or perhaps other reasons of emergency that needs your presence, you cannot attend. Okay, so ahead of time guys, no? Wag yung ang tawag dyan prior notice, no? So we practice prior notice here on our class. Ayan, so you just record my, though I could do that electronically, I could plug in the recorder. So I want a physical record, no? Starting week number 3. I have not done that on week number 1 and 2. So still an adjustment period, but week number 3 is already more or less an official class. Okay, by mind. So you just take note. If they pop up, you take note of the time that they pop up.
Okay po, sir.
Okay? So, okay naman yung connection mo dyan, no? Hindi naman naglalag.
Yes po, yes po.
Okay, thank you, Maymay, no? Since you're the only rose among the thorns, so, yan, yun yung ibigay ko responsibility sa'yo. Okay? So, yan. So, yan, another issue that I may not mention, but this is also something that necessary to tell, no? For our classes. All right. So, Bal, this is a case for an ordinary binomial, right?
Yes, sir. Is it polynomial? Factoring polynomial, sir?
Trinomial, yes. Factoring a trinomial or a polynomial. Actually, I call it a reverse FOIL. I don't know if your textbook says so, no? But it's a reverse FOIL. Now, we apply po FOIL method for the special product. And since this is a factoring, it's a reverse FOIL. Alright? So that's how I call it. No, it's just a term, but we could understand that. Of course, how we derive that? Yung x squared, how will of course the only factor for that is x and x, so that's already your first term. Okay, and then you will think. You need to balance thinking which among the pairs of the factors of of 6 would be necessary. Now by looking at the middle term 7x. No, minus 7x, no? So the middle term should be the sum of the factors of 6. So if assuming we don't have the answer yet, what the probable factors or pairs of 6 that we may list, Bal? Yes.
Sir, again, sir, I didn't catch that.
Will you list the factors of 6?
6 and 1,
Yes.
3 and 2,
Yes.
5 and 1. No,
No.
it could be a lot.
No. It's between it could be 1 and 6 or negative
Yes,
1 and 6.
Yes, sir.
That's because positive 6. 3 and 2 or negative 3 and 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so those are the probable pairs of factors for the last pair. However, the one that will dictate is the middle term 7x. 7x should be the sum or negative 7x. Sorry, there's a typo here. It should have been negative 7x here. Now 7x would be the sum of the factors. So from the listing that we have mentioned, what are those? What is the only pair that would sum up to negative 7? Obviously, that's minus 1 and minus 6. Okay, that's why we have x minus 1 and x minus 6. Okay, makes sense, guys? So anyway, this is a simple example. All right, did you get it, Bal? So that's how we reverse FOIL. We look at the first term, x squared. The only probable factor is x and x. We look for the last term 6. We could list the factor for 6. However, the right pair would be determined by the middle term. The middle term, negative 7x, is the sum of those factors. Okay? Make sense, guys? Do I make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next. James, how will you solve letter B, James?
X squared plus x 8x.
How will you solve that? Assuming wala pa yung sagot, ha? Kunyari, pagpalagay ng blanco pa yung sagot na yan. Paano mo solve yan? Will you describe to us how will you solve that? Okay, obviously, by the example, you have x. Ano yung x? Ano yung x dito, James? What do you call that? James, how do you call x? Okay, it's a x is single term. How do you call a single term expression?
Binomial yan, sir.
Hindi, single nga lang eh. Anong tawag? Yung x lang muna. Anong tawag sa x? Kasi binomial will follow. Yung x plus 8 na yan. Pero anong x? Yung key dyan, yung x. Oh, based dun sa ano, based dito sa letter B. Hindi square root. Hindi, sorry dun sa tawa pero napapapindot ako eh. Ano yung paano mo derive yung x doon sa x squared plus 8x? Anong tawag doon sa x? What do you call that x? That's a monomial. And what type of monomial? It's a monomial factor. Okay, it's a monomial factor. And it must be the greatest monomial factor. Yun yung technique na gagamitin mo dyan, James. Greatest monomial factor. Look for the greatest monomial factor for each of the term. For instance, x squared and 8x. Definitely, it cannot be x squared kasi mas mataas yun. Hahanap ka ng mas mababa. Pero greatest siya, hindi siya mataas. No? Yung common sa kanila, x. So, yun ang extract mo ngayon. Pag in-extract mo yung x, what remains is 8 plus x. Yeah, you have a factor of 8x times x plus 8 because x is the greatest monomial factor. Okay, that's the key for solving that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Maymay, how about you? Letter C. How will you factor letter C?
Ano po, sir? It's making the product of two binomials.
Oo, tama. Parang ganun. Pero parang kahawig siya ng letter A. The only difference is that you have a coefficient for the first term, x squared. Yan yung difference niya. So how will you do that? How will you arrive at 3x and 2x as pair and negative 5 and 1 as pair? Kasi pairing yan. Reverse FOIL pa rin ang gagamitin mo dyan eh. Reverse FOIL.
Yes po. Ano po? Finding the factor of 6. So the factor of 6 is 3 and 2 because 3 times 2 is equal to 6. And then, so because x squared siya, 6x squared. Isasalo mo yung x.
Alright.
And then, so it became 3x. Yun sa first term of the binomial.
Yes.
First term of the binomial. So you will give the 3x and the other side is the 2x. And then next is you will find the factor of the 7x. That will also give the factor of the 5 on the third term of the answer.
No, not the factor of 7x, but the factor of negative 5.
Negative 5. The factor of
negative 5.
That will result to 7x.
Yes, yung sum of the reverse FOIL. Sum of the reverse FOIL is negative 7x.
Apo. So, the result will be 5 because it is negative 5. So, ibig sabihin na dapat mas malaki yung number ng negative.
Tama.
Because
Yes,
it is a factor of negative and positive po. Kasi po, negative and negative po yung answer.
Okay, yes.
So it will be, since negative 5 is the answer, so we'll have the negative 5 and positive 1 po as the answer to give the result of this negative 5 on the third term.
Okay.
And then, so that is why we have the result of 3x minus 5 as the first binomial term.
Binomial factor or whatever. Okay lang. You may call it that way.
First binomial factor, and then followed by the second binomial factor or the second binomial term as 2x plus 1. Because if we follow the FOIL method, tama ba sir?
Tama, yes.
If we follow the FOIL method, 5, tama ba? First, 3x times 2x will have the result of 6x squared plus 3x plus 1 is equal to positive 4x. Wait lang, sulat ko muna sir para hindi ako maano.
3x pa rin. 3x times 1, 3x.
Ay, tama. Product pala, no? 3x times 1 is equal to 3x.
Okay.
And then followed with the inner negative 5 times 2x is equal to negative 10x.
Yes.
Plus, ay, tama ba? Minus. Because negative yung bigger number. Negative 5 times positive 1 is equal to negative 5. So that will have the result of, 6x squared, 6x squared plus 6x, wala nga, 6x squared, 3x pala, 3x minus 10x minus 5. So that will be 6x squared. So positive 3x minus 10x, we will subtract it because it is the instruction of finding the product of two different pag negative positive siya, we will get the ano tawag mo? Ikakopy mo yung ano ng bigger number po. So
yeah.
positive x minus 10x. So since 10 is the bigger and it is negative, so we will copy the minus of the 10. So it will become 7x minus 7x because
minus
3x
7x.
minus 10x is equal to 7x, and then minus 5. So that is the result, 6x squared minus 7x minus 5.
Okay, correct. Thank you, Maymay, for that expository explanation. So, okay yun. Okay yung ginawa ni Maymay, no? Nagets nyo ba, James, Bal? Nagets nyo ba yung explanation?
Yes, sir.
Very, no? Vivid siya, no? So, meron siyang nabanggit dito na technique. Now, whenever we look at the trinomial, we look at the two signs that separate the trinomial, no? So, nabanggit niya yun, no? So, what will identify whether it's a pair of plus or minus is the last term. So, nabanggit ni Maymay yun, negative 5. Ibig sabihin, plus minus yun. So, it could be, just this case, minus 5 and plus 1. So, that could be or it could be minus 1 or plus 5. Pwede naman. So, depende dun sa reverse FOIL na gagamitin mo. And then, if the second term is negative, no, according to Maymay, and that's correct also, that the negative will have the higher factor. No, for this case, negative 5, the negative will join with 5, no, because but not necessarily all the time. This is not all the time true. It's true when the reverse FOIL apply, most especially the outside product and the inside product combined. No? So kung titingnan natin dito, yung na-explain kanina ni Mayma, yung 3x times 1 and then minus or plus negative 5 times 2x which is negative 10x, negative 10x plus 3 is negative 7x. So what anong sinasabi na negative dyan? Yung sum dapat ay negative. Magiging negative siya. So meaning the large product. And the one that would take the larger product, of course, kung nasa kanya si 5. So, negative 5 times 2x, 10x agad yan. So, tama yung second term. Okay? So, thank you for that explanation. So, we have here the explanation, factorization process generally restricted to finding factors yan, of polynomials with integer coefficients. No? So, it must be an integer coefficient. Though it may be applied also to non-integer. It may be applied in some cases. Like this one, this is actually a limitation, no, for integers. No? Because for instance, thus we shall not consider x minus 1 is being factorable into square root of x plus 1 times square root of x minus 1. Though there are factors, but they're not anymore polynomials. They're not, diba, you recall for a multinomial to be a polynomial, there must be two categories. You still recall on our previous lecture, what are the property of a multinomial to become a polynomial? You still recall those two terms? The first term is that there must be an integral coefficient. Integral, whole number, and then secondly, there must be rational. So for the rational, no, or integral, no? So for this case, square root of x is not falling on the integral factors. So kaya yung x minus 1 is no longer factorable. Gets nyo ba guys? Bal, James, and Maymay?
Yes po.
It's no longer factorable. Okay? Wait lang. Wala bang nabanggit yung mga classmates nyo? Ba't wala pa sila? Kung nandito sila last previous class, no? Ba't kaya wala ngayon? James and Bal, do you have a knowledge?
No po. But
No
I
idea. Pero nandito sila yung Bible doctrine.
I think by now they're done. Supposed this should be done.
Oo nga eh. So to mention their name, so actually mabagal na naman internet ko. So pag nawala ako guys, babalik na lang ako.
Bethany is now preparing for the buwan ng wika po kasi ata, sir.
Buwan ng wika.
Opo. But I don't think kung ano pong reason nila po, bakit po wala sila.
Pero walang information. Magchat-chat dapat si Ma'am Laarni sa akin. Kung may mga students that need perhaps manpower or logistics, no? So wala namang problema yun. There's no problem with communicating with prior notice. No? So you should ayan, so ang wala dito si Aaron, si Jemuel. Mga houseboys to Jemuel, no? Si Jo Marie, saka si Shadrach. So yun yung tatlo na wala. Tama ba? Ang houseboys natin, homeboys natin, Jemuel. Tama ba? Saka, sino ba isa? Si Jo Marie or si Jo Marie ba o si Aaron?
Para si Jo Marie rin po ata.
Those are houseboys.
Well,
Aaron and Shadrach are not around. They're poor, no? So, minority class. Anyway, sige. Paano pag magpa-surprise seat work ako ngayon, di itlog sila. Siyempre, madaling gawin yun. But anyway, nakita niyo yun guys. So x minus 1 is not factorable, though it's still factorable. The reason behind is the result will be anymore a polynomial. It will not consider a polynomial because it's irrational. So one of the characteristic of a polynomial, it's rational and integral. So yun. So rational and integral. Meaning, if you have a radical, it's no longer rational. Now, meaning, you cannot put it into a fraction, a fractional equivalent, perhaps square root of 2. No need to, because it's a student's responsibility to come. Anyway, this is the third week, my mind, no? But thank you for your suggestion. This is the third week already, no? So we've been meeting since week 1. So normally, dapat ano na student would come. No, pag may mga personal concerns ako, saka lang ako nagchat-chat, katulad ng diagnostic test. No, yung diagnostic test, ayan, may dalawang hindi nagpasa, piniem ko. No, may isa na mali yung pagkaunawa niya sa instruction, require ko ng resubmission. So yun yung ano doon, no? So hindi naman nangahulugan na nag-submit sila ng diagnostic text, wala nang klase ngayon. Parang I really don't need to convey that idea because that is a long that's already a week long overdue, the diagnostic test. In fact, sinabihan ko lang sila kasi pwede ko naman wag nang sabihin, I'll just mark them 0. By the way, ano bang magiging epekto ng diagnostic? Actually, quantitatively wala. Pero pagdating sa 15%, it will affect your readings. Your readings nyo. So may scaling ako sa readings eh. So readings, ibig sabihin niya, nagbabasa ka at sumusunod ka sa instruction. So yan yung readings natin. So basically, readings is flexible. So diyan ko ipinapasok yung diyan ko pinapasok yung ibang mga observable traits, no? Yun nga, sana maganda kung face-to-face tayo. Of course, that includes following instruction. And the fact that you have not submitted anything where you are required to submit, so ano yun? So you're not following instruction. So technically, magkakaroon ng epekto yung non-compliance doon sa readings nyo. 15%. Ginawa ko lang reading siya kasi yun lang, or I don't need to put attendance. Of course, I will not grade you on your attendance. If you're absent today, that's your loss. That's a loss. Though they will still view the recorded session. Nevertheless, they miss the actual learning process. No? So yun yung ano natin. Pero okay, may if you want to message them, it's okay. So asking. So technically, since we are already ano ba yung cut-off ko para maging tardy? Kasi hindi pwedeng tardy. Kunyari 3 hours tayo, tapos tardy ka ng 2.5 hours. Di ba? Anong tawag dun, Bal? Kunyari 30 minutes na lang before the closing of the class, pumasok ka pa. Anong tawag dun? What do you call that, Bal?
Sir, I don't understand Tagalog, sir.
I'm sorry. O nga pala. Yes. Assuming one of your classmates for a 3-hour class went into the class 30 minutes before the ending of the class. Oh, what do you call that? He is already a sit-in. He's just a sit-in. He's no longer present. Okay? It's just a sit-in. Catching up for 30 minutes and then you won't so it's not no more. So for my cut-off for me 30 minutes actually. The cut-off personally for if you went in 30 minutes after, no? So after it's already an absence. Okay? So take note of that, no? I hope they will listen to the recorded session next time, or perhaps you could tell them. No? So 30 minutes after unless I will be modifying the time. No? So it's my prerogative to modify. Perhaps we could meet by 9:30 instead of 9:20. So the time frame will be adjusted. So that's the time. So there's a 30-minute rule on for every 3 hours. Anyway, we're meeting in a full class. No, I don't just chop the time for a certain number of hours. No? So if you are late by 30 minutes, you're absent for 3 hours. So I need to be strict on that because we have a rule. Based on your orientation, how many percent of your tardiness, unexcused tardiness, and absence will immediately make you a drop student? How many percent? If you still recall that in your student orientation?
20%.
Okay, so it's 20%. Very generous, though that's a university rule. No? 20%. What is 20%? So our total number of hours is 54. Now, 54 hours times 20%, what's that? That is 10.8 hours. So if you will occur an accumulated tardiness, unexcused tardiness, and absence of 10.8 hours, you are already dropped on the class. So if the students now will accumulate 3 hours, so they are 7.8 closer to that. Okay? That is for not periodical, no? This is not per period, but for the entire semester. So it's accumulative. No, it's not only for 1 period or 6-week period. No, it will be recorded for the entire, no, accumulative, no. So I think there's and the professor, yeah, that's automatic drop, no, official drop 'yon pag nag-accumulate ka ng 10.8 hours. Okay, so I hope you get that. No? So that's 20% of your total hours for the class. So every meeting is equivalent to 3 hours. If you're not present, you're 3 hours less. You are considered that. So okay, so other question with that policy, guys. So though we're online and we are a Bible or a Christian school, we also follow some standard. In fact, our standard should be way ahead than the counterpart secular schools and university. So most especially even in attendance, in our decorum, not just the academic performance. Of course, academic performance should be emphasized because this is a tertiary level education. But nevertheless, attendance is also important. Your decorum, your proper mindset in the class, no, it's necessary. So ayan. So, the question on that policy, I'm just reiterating the school policy. No? It's not just the policy of our class in MAT121. That's the school policy. So, incurring 20% or equivalent to 10.8 hours will be for you to subject to be dropped on. In fact, you don't need to drop. No? The professor will drop you. Magkaiba yung guys. No? Yung officially drop ka, if you're officially dropped, because for some reason, yes. But if you occur more than 10.8 hours of absences and unexcused absences and tardiness, the professor will drop you from the grade sheets. Your grades, I will mark UD already on that, or officially drop. Yeah, I will officially drop you. Okay, guys, any question on that? Just a reiteration. Since you're a minority, no, the 4 of you were not around. In fact, that's but nga ba? No, I wonder why they are not here. In fact, they are still awake. Way back midnight. No, they're still chatting because 2 of them does not submit anything at all. So I give an ultimatum for until midnight. I think that's fair because we've been discussing diagnostic test since week number 1. And, well, Bal came in a week later, so I extend. Because of Bal's addition to the class, I extend the deadline for that. Okay, you have thoughts on that, guys? So that's just a segue. Now, they're no longer considered factorable because the factors are not anymore integral or integer, integral, and rational. No? So those are the concepts that we need to understand. All right. So question so far, guys?
Nothing po.
Okay, thank you. Uh, also, no, 3x plus 2y is no longer simplified, no, because if it will violate the being integral, no. Integral is integers only coefficient for a polynomial. So for this case, x plus 2/3 y is not an integral expression because of 2/3. So you don't need to express that way and factor out 3. So you could just state that 3x plus 2y is already the simplified form. Okay? So those are the rules, no? Not all expressions are factorable. All right? There are expressions that are stay simplified as it is. If they are not anymore factorable, meaning if you'll factor out something that's irrational and that is fractional, so it's not considered as a factor. Okay, guys, make sense?
Yes po.
Okay. So for this case, an example that we have, no, can be expressed as a product of two prime factors. Ayan, x minus 1 and x minus 6. Polynomial is said to be factored completely when expressed as factors, a product of prime factors. So the expression binomial, the binomials x minus 1 and x minus 6 are prime, not because they are prime number, no, hindi ganun yung, it's not the sense of being a prime factor, but when you say prime factor, no longer, you cannot reduce anymore the factor. X minus 1 is irreducible, x minus 6 is irreducible. That's why it becomes a prime factor. Make sense, guys? That's the term prime. But of course, when we apply prime to a number, so that have a different sense. Of course, prime numbers are versus composite numbers. But when applied to prime factors are irreducible. Now, factor could not be factored anymore into another set of factors. Just like x minus 1, x minus 6 are obviously prime factors. Okay, guys? Make sense? So that's how we use the word prime here. So yung the prime. By the way, Bala, if I'm talking Tagalog, you could raise your no. Sir, I don't understand your no. Oo nga pala, sometimes I'm not aware that I'm that we have here a multi national. We're multinational class because of this. No? Okay, so these are narratives. No, we could go on to the example. So these are definitions of prime. Okay, factorization procedure. Now these are that's why I'm asking you to describe your technique. Your technique on this. We have factorization procedures. For instance, the format AC plus AD. Yan yung that's what James is answered a while ago. That's common monomial factor or greatest monomial factor. It should be the greatest monomial factor that needs to be extracted from AC plus AD, which is obviously A. You extract A out of the binomial, and what remains is the binomial factor. So in the form A times C plus D. So these are examples. So I may not explain them anymore. However, if we will try to analyze each of the term, here for example 5.2, so we have first and foremost, when looking for a greatest monomial factor, look for the exponent of x or lesser exponent of x, the least degree value of x, which is x squared, right? X squared. It should not be x cubed. That is monomial factor. No, it's the least degree x squared. So that could be listed as part of your monomial factor x squared. And then look at the numerical coefficient. The numerical coefficient, of course, the least value of numerical coefficient is your factor. So for this case, for 6 and 2, which is obviously the lesser is 2, and 2 is a factor of 6, right? 2 is a factor of 6. So combining these two, x squared and 2, you have 2x squared as your greatest monomial factor. And the rest, and the binomial could be determined upon extraction. For instance, 2x squared is extracted from 6, sorry, I think there's a lacking y here, no? I'm sorry. I think this is 6x squared y. There's a lacking typographical here. So 6x squared y minus 2x cubed. So if we will extract 6x or 2x squared, so what remains is 3y. And then when you extract 2x squared from 2x cubed, obviously what remains is x. And then copying also the addition subtraction operation. Okay, makes sense, guys? So that's how, first of all, look for the lowest degree variable that is common to all terms. If the variable is not common to all terms, it's not a common factor. Take note of that. Only those who are common for each term. And you look for the least degree. Now, the least value for the exponent. Now, for this case of letter A, you have 2x squared. And then, next to that is the numericals naman. The numerical coefficient, you may factor out the least value. And of course, there must be a common factor between 6 and 2, which is 2. No? 2 is a factor of 6. So we could extract 2. What remains is 3y for the first term minus x. Okay, another example here. If we will analyze, okay, every term has a presence of x and y. So we will analyze the least value. The least value for x is x, right? So that's part of the component, x. And for y, what's the least value of exponent, my?
Y po.
Y. So therefore, the greatest monomial, and of course, for numerical, no more. Because 2 and 3 are relatively prime to each other. So there's no composite term there, no? So 2 and 3 are relatively prime to each other, meaning there are no common factors. So numericals are not part of the monomial factor, only x, y. And then from there, you could extract, no, its partner trinomial here, no? So if you will extract xy from 2x cubed y, what remains is 2x squared. And then from the second term minus xy squared, you extract xy, what would remain is minus y. And then from here, 3x squared, of course 3 will remain, x will remain, and no more y because you have only y here. Okay, have clarification, guys, based on this example? Okay, James, you have some clarification? Okay, all right. So that's the first category, no? So that's the common monomial factor. Next is difference of two square, no? So this is actually the opposite of sum and difference of a binomial. Difference of two square is the given, you need just to factor out such that you will produce sum and difference of a binomial. All right? So that's the idea. So it's reversible process. Sometimes you need to factor out, sometimes you need to get the special product. That dependent on the problem or the requirement of the problem. So for instance, if you have x squared minus 25, we know that it's two perfect squares. X squared obviously is a perfect square. 25 is a perfect square. You could just express this in terms of sum and difference of the respective square roots. Of course, the square root of x squared is x. The square root of 25 is 5. And then you just alternate plus and minus. Hi guys, make sense?
Yes po.
All right. So another example would be 4x squared minus 9y. Now we just square root of 4 is 2. Square root of x squared is x. So you have 2x. Square root of 3 is rather 9 is 3. Square root of y squared is y. So 3y. So it's just an alternate plus minus. Take note, it's a difference of 2 squares, not a sum of 2 squares. So the sum of 2 square is not factorable in most cases. Take note, the sum of 2 squares is not factorable in most cases. I'm not saying in all cases. In most cases, they're not factorable. Only the difference of 2 square. But there are cases where we could also factor sum of 2 squares. Okay, in some special format. No? But normally, what we could factor are the difference of 2 squares. Okay, so let's move on. Now another type is a perfect trinomial square. A perfect trinomial square, when factored, is a square of a binomial. So a square of a binomial will produce perfect trinomial square. When a perfect trinomial square is factored, it will become a square of a binomial. So these are just opposite operations. Now, but take note of the property of a perfect trinomial square. Square of the first plus twice of the product of the first and second term plus the square of the last term. So that's always the case. You could interchange the second term to both positive or negative. So if positive, it will be sum of the square of a binomial, the sum of the terms, no? Ito naman difference, no? Kapag yung second term mo ay minus. Alright, so that's a perfect trinomial square. Okay, these are example. We could examine each of the term. X squared, check, it's a perfect square. 9 is a perfect square. No? However, how about 6? It's twice the product of the first and last term. No? X here, X, and here is 3. So twice of 3 and X. So 2 times 3X is 6X. Correct. So this must be a perfect trinomial square whose product is X plus 3 squared. So that's how you could just test it by inspection. Now, by inspection, whether all of the properties are met on this trinomial. Okay, another example is this. 9x squared. Is it a perfect square? 9x squared. James, 9x.
Yes.
Ayan, yes, no? So 9x squared is, a square root of that is 3x. So lista mo na yung 3x doon. And then yung last term, square root niya is 2y, obviously. And take note, you have a negative here, no? So difference agad yon, automatic. Now let us check whether it will fit with negative 12xy. So twice the first and the last, the product. So 2 times 3x times 2y is obviously equal to negative 12xy, correct? So that's the product. Now, however, if the middle term is not matched, don't factor. Okay? For instance, you have other than negative 12xy, you have 10xy, you cannot choose perfect trinomial square method for that. There could be other methods, but not a square of a binomial. All right? So that the middle term is the last for you to identify whether you met the criteria for the middle term of your trinomial. Okay, so that's the last thing that you could check. Initially, you could check on the first and the last term, get their square roots. So you have that, and then get twice the product of those two terms, which is supposedly the middle term of the trinomial. All right? All right. So other trinomial types is this. No, if you have, this is actually a normal trinomial. Sometimes we call a trial and error here. Now there must be a trial and error. So there is no direct solution. There's no direct direct solution no, but it's more of a trial and error. So you could try and error. We call it, I call it a while ago, reverse FOIL method. Okay, reverse FOIL method. Like for that one, all right, so you have x squared minus 5x plus 4. So we could list the product of, or the factor of x. It's both basically x and x. However, positive. The last term is positive. There are only two approaches there, no? Now, for the binomial, it could be a plus plus or a minus minus if the last term of the trinomial is positive. However, the one that will dictate whether it's a plus plus or a minus minus is the middle term. Look at the middle term, negative 5x. What does it mean? It's a minus minus. Make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So by inspection, you will know already the format of your answer by just looking at the trinomial. So there are three cases here. First is a plus plus. It's a plus plus. For instance, say x squared plus 5x plus 4. Now it's a plus plus. So meaning the factors of 4 should have a sum of positive 5. And that could be possible if the factor is x plus 1 times x plus 4. So that's a plus plus. Here is a minus plus. Minus plus, the middle term will indicate the sum of the factors of 4. The factors of 4 should be negative 1, negative 4, so that it will have negative 5 as the sum. Alright? And a while ago, it could be a minus minus. What do you mean by a minus minus naman? It's an alternate minus plus minus on your answer. And the minus product is greater than the positive product. Now, just like what we have done in a previous example. All right? So for here, it's a minus, so it's both minus. Minus 4, minus 1. Unfortunately, their sum is negative 5, so that's it will fit the answer. Okay? Okay, another example here. So x squared, so you have a factor of xx, and you have 12y. So this time 12y could be a minus 12y. So if a minus, meaning it could be a plus or minus, and the plus should be greater than the minus because of the indication of the middle term, which is xy. So what are the factors of 12y? 12y squared. No? Probably that's negative 3y and 4y. For this case, plus is the absolute value of 4 is greater than the absolute value of 3. Alright? So for this case. Then if you will check, so using FOIL method, so FOIL outside is 4xy, inside is negative 3xy. So the result would be positive xy. Okay? So in fact, you could check, guys, no? You could check your solution immediately. Now, if the requirement is factoring, you could check using special product. If the requirement is special product, you could check using factoring. So these are two reversible processes. All right? So I will not anymore go through all of the example here. Anyway, that's on your book that I have uploaded. Now, another category is sum and difference of two cubes. Sums and difference of two cubes. When we factor, that becomes the sum of term, no? The sum of a term, and there is another factor. So I cannot describe it anymore. So for this case, x cubed plus b cubed would be x plus b. Now by long method we could prove this, but we will not anymore do that. Then you have x squared instead of a normal perfect trinomial square that has 2ab, it has a numerical value of 1 only. So negative ab plus b squared. So no numerical values here, no? Coefficients always equal to 1. Pag nagkaroon ng 2ab dyan, mali na to. If you have 2ab there, it will be wrong already. No? So it's always numerical value equal to 1. Alright? So let's analyze, guys, this so let's analyze this first example. So we first need to identify what is A and what is B. So this is A cubed plus B cubed. What is A? Obviously that is 2x. And what is B is 3y. From there we could construct already the pairs. Now pairs. Take note, there's an alternate positive negative for the plus, but for the minus, all plus on the trinomial partner. Take note of the difference, guys. No? So normally there are some switch. No? Sometimes students may switch the format. Now, as mathematics teacher, sooner or later, you need to in a way memorize or perhaps understand that format. Though memorization or memory may fail us, but in some cases, if you're a math teacher, you could always recover the image in your mind. Sometimes there are forgotten things in our mind, but you may, as math teacher, you will not forget these patterns in mathematics. If you're a math teacher, you're called to be a math teacher. So patterns needs to be part of our intrinsic knowledge, or sometimes we call it stock knowledge. So there are stock knowledge for math teachers. All right. So for that case, if A is equal to 2x and B is equal to 3y, we just substitute with the format here, no? So we have 2x plus 3y, and then the next trinomial partner here is a squared. So 2x quantity squared minus 2x plus 3 times 3y plus b squared, which is 3y. And then you could just complete the trinomial factor. Okay, make sense, guys? So I think this is not hard to understand, no? Factoring. If you know special product, you will also understand factoring. All right. So another case here for letter B, your A is equal to 2xy. Now because cube root. Now this time you will cube root everything. Cube root of 8 is 2. Cube root of x cube is x. Cube root of y cube is y. That's why it's 2xy. Then of course, 1 is cube root of 1 is also cube root of is equal to 1. So the pairs there is 2x. So there would be that dilemma. So I'm sorry, there must be a parenthesis here, no? 2xy minus 1. And then there's a parenthesis cube times the partner. All right, the partner. All right, question, guys? Or if not, you could also chat your question the chat box. No? Wait, I need to progress my ano. All right, let's move on. Now, there are grouping terms. For instance, AC plus BC plus AD plus BD. You could not factor them directly, but indirectly. This is what we call indirect factoring. Meaning, only part has a common factor, not all has common factor. Then sooner or later, you realize that the common factor is not a monomial, it's a binomial, a common binomial factor. This is the case for a common binomial factor. Before, the first format that we have, it's common monomial factor. But this time, it's a common binomial or even trinomial in some cases. All right? So that's how I call it. No? So sometimes you call it grouping of terms, but I would prefer to call it common binomial factor. Okay, take note of that. It might come up in your exams. No? Common binomial factor. How come that it become a common binomial factor? Obviously, there's no common factor here, right, guys? Am I right, James? No common factor for those terms.
Yes po.
All right. However, when you group them, that's why it's a grouping of terms. When you group them, the first two terms would have a common monomial factor of C times AB, and then the next two terms here has a common factor, monomial factor of D and AB. What did you notice here? Now you have a common binomial, right? So, but initially you don't have a monomial factor. You just factor it partially, one part to another, and then sooner or later there will be a proper rearrangement would provide us a common binomial factor. Obviously, the common binomial factor is A plus B. So you extract A plus B, what remains there is C plus D. There. Here. All right. So you look for a way. Sometimes the polynomial is unarranged. You need to arrange them such that you will produce a common binomial factor. Make sense ba, guys? Because not all arrangement you will obviously have a common binomial factor. You need to rearrange them properly so that there will be a binomial factor that could be extracted from the polynomial. Okay, make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. For instance, for this case, this is not obvious, no? So there's no obvious factor here. But if you will extract 2x from the first two terms, so you will have a minus 2b as your binomial, and then if you will extract y on the last terms, so what will be the result? A minus 2b as your binomial factor. So these are a minus 2b now becomes your common binomial factor. And upon extracting it, what remains is 2x plus y. All right? Question? So this is actually, yan. That's the last. We have another one. But this is already for formulas purposes. No? So these are already higher power, no? Higher than 4. So you have 32x to the fifth is basically 32 is a perfect fifth root, no? 32 a fifth power. This you could express 32 to 2 raised to 5, x raised to 5. So obviously that is a raised to 5. A is equal to 2x, and then 1 is of course 1 raised to 5 is still 5. No? So you could have that expression. Even you extend it to 7. Take note, for a positive binomial, it's always the polynomial factor is always an alternate positive, negative, positive, negative. But if it is a difference, like this one, it is always positive here. Okay? Did you notice that, guys? I hope you observed that. Always positive on that case. Okay, this is an example of suitable terms, so addition and subtraction of suitable terms, meaning for you to somehow factor, you need to add something to the trinomial. And this is one case of a sum of two squares. Am I right, guys? Is this the sum of two squares? James or Val? X to the fourth plus 4 is a sum of two terms. All right, so I think I could explain to you maybe I would open my. Yes, there are sum of two terms. There's no direct method for that. Now we cannot apply the difference of two squares for this, no? So mamamali tayo. Your answer will be wrong because this is actually the sum of two squares. All right? First square is x to the fourth, second square is 4. All right? So for a while I need to
Oh, sir. I thought it was 6. That's right.
All right? Come again.
Yes, sir. I thought the number was 6. That's why I said.
Your audio is not that clear, no? But anyway,
I said the number 4 just now. I thought it was number 6, sir.
uh,
But- yes, sir. But
x raised to 4. You mean the exponent?
I mean, sir, the x raised to 4 plus 4. I thought the plus 4 was plus 6. That's why I said.
Okay. So it's 4. So it's both are perfect squares. Sum of perfect square, no? All right. Let me check my math type here, no, for me to further explain how to solve this. So you need to insert something. You need to add suitable term, no? So that's the idea for this. All right. So this is my so all right. So for this, nominally, it's not seemingly it's not factorable, no? Seemingly it's not factorable. However, when you insert a middle term, no, and insert a middle term, so what could be a middle term so that it will be a perfect trinomial square? Any suggestion? I want this to be a perfect trinomial square so that it could be factorable. What would be the middle term? What could be a middle term, guys? For this to become, how will you create the middle term of a perfect trinomial square? Okay, square root of the first term, square root of the last term, twice the product of the first and the last term.
4x squared.
4x squared, correct. 4x squared, yes. So what will happen here, no? Assuming you're not looking at your notes, no? Because this is part of your notes. It's part of the sample problem, but this is my own version, no? So if you have, if you have to the fourth, you will just insert the middle term, no? The middle term is a plus 4x squared. So that will complete the square. Okay, minus 4 plus 4. However, you need to have a balance of the equation. Since you add 4x squared, you need to subtract also 4x squared. Okay, make sense, guys? You cannot just add or subtract from an expression. Now you need to balance it. Now whether you insert something in addition, no, there must be an opposite subtraction operation. Make sense, guys? And you could regroup this. There you go. You have already a perfect trinomial. For x squared plus 4. No? And then outside, so we're not violating here, no, since we're just inserting parentheses. Can you factor the trinomial? What will be the factor? What's the factor of the trinomial? Or Bal or James, no? What will be the factor?
So including the minus 4, right?
Not yet. Just the product.
Or just
Just the trinomial.
Yes, so okay. Yes, sir. So would be x2 x square.
X squared,
X squared, sir.
yes. Plus,
Yes, sir. And then plus 2x
correct. 2x, and then
2x plus 2 plus 2, sir. Wait.
not plus 2. It's a perfect
Alright.
trinomial square, so it must be a
Oh,
square.
my yes, sir. Square.
Yeah, squared.
Square.
Minus,
Sorry, sir.
it's okay, it's okay. So 4x,
My
x squared.
2x.
So what will happen next, Bal?
4x.
What will happen next to here? So by the way, we produce what? We produce difference of two
It would be a
squares.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we produce a difference of two squares.
binomial.
So from here, we could get a squared minus b squared. And what is a squared? Obviously, the binomial x squared plus 2x. That's your a. Minus b squared. Obviously, your b squared is 2x. Right? 2x minus 2x. Alright? So, yun yung... So, that be the case. Wait. Parang may mali ako dito. So difference of two squares na, no? So, difference. So, that would become... if that would be the case, you will incorporate... so, difference, no? X squared no. I'm sorry, no. This is not x, no. It's only 2, no. Am I right, Bal? It's x squared plus 2 only. Am I right? I think x plus 2 only. Because the fourth term is 4, so 2 squared is 4. Right? So
Yes,
x squared plus 2, quantity squared. Yeah. That will make it 4x squared plus 4. Correct. So here is a plus. What's the square root of 4x squared? It's minus 2x. Or plus 2x. Then term is the difference. X plus 2, x squared plus 2, minus. Yun naman yung difference. No? Minus 2x. So I'll just put it here. Those are the factors, guys. Of course, you could rearrange that. Rearranging, the rearranged answer should be x squared plus 2x plus 2 times x squared minus 2x plus 2. So those are the answer. So if I'll try to, can I copy this? I don't know if in map type it's also a word processor. No? Anyway, I could just retype it. Okay, so we have, sorry for this brace. I will just use the brace. So x squared minus 2x plus 2. Okay guys, so those are the factors. You could check this out whether these are the factors, okay? Now, if you will look carefully on the notes, here's the notes. Now we have the same answer. Obviously. Right? That's how you do it here. So there's a all right? So miscellaneous combination of previous methods. No? So there are combinations like this one, for instance, common binomial factor. And then after the common binomial factor, you have the difference of two cubes. You still factor it out. So you will read these solved problems, analyze them, no? And then try it by yourself personally. So though we may not completely solve this in the board, no, as expected in the traditional way of teaching it, but the availability of materials, no, so materials is there already, no. So you just need to read, analyze, no, practice by yourself. So these are combinations already of the, of course, this of the combinations of the methodologies that we have learned. No? All right. So we have here the polynomials, no? Greatest common factor. That's what I'm saying to you a while ago. So greatest common factor. Now we know the definitions. I may skip this already, guys. You know GCF and LCM. Na natin. Pero ito apply to binomials. Pag greatest common factor, take note, the highest degree, the largest numerical coefficient, which is a factor given to a polynomial. So how could be a factor for each term? It needs to be the least value. For instance, for a constant at power of 2, it's the least value of power of 2. So unfortunately, it's not common to all here. So 2/3 2 cubed is not a factor because not common to all. How about 3? 3 squared, 3 cubed, 3 squared. So 3 squared is a factor. And then next binomial is x plus y. What's the least value? So unfortunately, the least value is x plus y squared. And then next, x plus 2y. So the least value, this is squared, x plus y cubed. Then you have x plus y, x plus 2y. So x plus 2y raised to 1 is the greatest common factor. So combining the 3 squared, x minus y squared, and x plus 2y squared. Okay? Then with the least common multiple naman guys, titingnan highest. Okay, highest factor. Power of 2 highest. What's the highest? Obviously, 2 cubed, 2 squared, and wala. So 2 cubed kasi highest 'yon. And then sa 3 cubed sa 3 naman, 3 squared, 3 cubed. 3 cubed is the highest. So you have 3 cubed here. For x minus y, what's the highest? It's cube. So x minus y cube. For x plus 2y, it's cube. So yung pinakamatataas na exponent, yan ang magiging least common multiple mo. Yun namang pinakamababa na common, yun ang greatest common factor. Ang irony nga, greatest common factor, pero tinitingnan natin yung least. Yung least common multiple, at tinitingnan natin yung greatest. Okay guys, make sense ba? That's the irony, oh. The irony of mathematics. Right? So I will leave problems to you. Hindi ko nadadaanan to kasi dapat nabasa nyo na to. No? So there are a lot of problems here. Actually, mauumay kayo dito. Of course, you don't need to answer everything or try. You just try to have a representative question per item, perhaps 1 or 2. Try it for yourself, practice it. So, lahat na ng parts dyan, nandyan. No? Suitable term. Okay, so LCM. Okay, dito tayo mag-focus sa problems. Alright? So, we will have a round robin. No? So, saglit lang guys. Anin ko lang yung aking code. Pinakanda yung code ko. Para ready tayo. We have clarification. Okay, wait lang guys. Medyo lobat yung aking ano. Lobat yung speaker. Wait lang guys ah. Okay, wait lang. Nako, malolobat na siya. Okay, we're back. Wait lang guys ah. Okay, still my audio clear guys? Okay lang yung audio ko? Okay, thank you. Okay, so tingnan niyo muna yung ano, yung mga problems na yan. Okay, let's have a round robin, guys, para ma-practice kayo. We'll start with Bal, then James and Maymay. So Bal, please answer letter A. Then afterwards, while waiting, you could already put it in a scratch. Oh, Aaron, nangyari sa'yo? Wait lang guys, may issues ako ah. Saglit lang ah. Saglit lang. Okay, sound check.
So I type my answer in the chat, sir.
Sige, I'm having some issue, no? You could just tell audibly your answer.
Okay, sir. My answer is 3x squared y cubed.
3x squared y
Parenthesis.
cubed.
Yes, sir. Parenthesis y plus 2x.
Okay, correct. Or 2x plus y. Since numerically, no, so alphabetically, x is, but it could be okay, y plus 2x or 2x plus y. That would be fine. Okay. So that's correct. James, can you answer letter B? Sorry, I still have some glitches, no? I don't know if you could hear me now. Wait. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes po, sir.
Oh, Aaron, nangyari sa'yo? Aaron, ba't ngayon ka lang? Aaron?
Sir, nawalan po ako ng internet.
Anong nangyari?
Pasensya.
Ha?
Hindi ko po. Sir, nawalan po ako ng internet.
Pag nawawalan internet, may screenshot, may patunay na nawalan para hindi ano. Kasi hindi ko alam kung anong nangyari. So ganyan, screenshot agad. Oh, mga ilang ano. Yan kasi hindi naman controllable yan, no? Pero ang tagal, no? Tagal mong nawalan ng internet. O kaya pwede mo i-PM muna agad, no? Kahit man lang data or kahit data wala or broadband. Nawala.
Nagpa-load na lang po ako, sir.
Ayun, kahit basta ma-inform, no? Kasi mahirap yan. Ang ruling natin sa classroom, 30 minutes tardiness, after that absence na. So sabi ko nga kay Bal kanina, I mentioning to Bal, if a classmate would pinch in perhaps a little later than 30 minutes, that could be absence already on my class. So that's let's see, no? So tingnan natin yan. So yung nawawalang oras, no? So ganun guys, pag internet issue, screenshot agad. So ilang trial, no? So evidence based tayo. So kasi I cannot verify, though I'm not saying that you're not telling the truth. That's not the case. But of course there's no need for verification, no? And I don't have the means to verify, no? So Aaron, pag ganyan, since nag-chat pa tayo ng hating gabi, so inassume ko na no, bigla pa lang nawala ng internet or whatsoever, no? So titingnan ko kung i-absent kita o i-late na lang kita. Kasi obligation mo rin na inform yung professor, eh. No, though pag may ganyan, o di ganito na lang. I-chat ko yung number ko, ha. This is my phone number. I'll chat it now, no? Take note, you guys, all of you. Kasi ayoko na may reason not to come to my class. How about the 3? No, how about the 3 other guys? Shadrach, Limuel, and Jo Marie. Where are they? Okay, that's my smart. Okay, that's my globe. So take note of that, guys. No? So there must be no reason at all because masayang yung Anyway, I cannot. So if you have really proof, that's okay, no problem, no? So even though I have not mentioned it previously. Okay, Aaron. So pag ganyan, let me know. No, there are other means to do that.
Okay po.
So 9:30 up to 9:20. Now it's more over 11 p.m. So, ayan. Kasi kung actual class yan, hindi na kita papapasukin. Totoo lang. Kahit may pirma pa ng pastor mo, saka ni Dr. Nable. Kung actual class yan, of course, they will respect my decision as a professor. And we maintain a standard on the classroom. No? Hindi ko na nga kayo pinapakame para makita ko kung maayos yung itsura nyo eh. No, it should be an attire appropriate for a formal classroom. Do you know that? That's another requirement. In fact, if you're a Bible school student, you know that. No? Although I'm not anymore requiring an on-cam, and then of course there must be an appropriate apparel for the classroom, formal classroom. I'm not anymore imposing that because of the bandwidth connectivity. But for reasons of absence without prior notice, or even in the case of a lost connection, there must be other options. No? You look for other options. There you could find another option unless it's a totally blackout on the place, no? So that could be understandable. Okay, I wonder where are the three. We're still it's a good thing we're already on a majority, 4 of you, over 7 students. Okay, James, please your answer for letter B.
I'll try, sir. Sige po. Dito sa akin, kasi mo dito sa 12 is
Ito James, isahin natin.
Is negative.
Sige. Okay.
Sige po.
Isa-isahin natin. Ano yung common factor mo? Sa, ano muna, numerical muna. Ano yung common factor? 12, 6, or 4? Or compute for the common factor?
Monomial factor.
What's your common factor?
Ano po? 4.
No, for the 12, 6, and 4, what's the common factor there? Doon muna tayo sa number. Hindi, sagutin mo na agad. Diretso mo. 12, 6, and 4, what's the common factor? James, what's the common factor of 12, 6, and 4?
Wait. 12, 6, 4. Ano to sir? Additional po ba ito?
Hindi, I'm asking for the common factor, the greatest common factor of 12, 6, and 4. Their GCF. Okay, think of the common factor that will divide 12, 6, and 4. O, yun na yung pinakamagandang ano doon. Mag-isip ka ng pinakamataas na number na kaya niyang i-divide ang 12, 6, and 4. Anong number yun? What would be that number?
2.
Oh, tama, 2. That's your numeric. Okay, let's go to the S. For the S, what will you do? Is S a common factor to all? So look for the smallest exponent or degree. What's the smallest degree for letter S? James. Obviously, it's h squared. Right?
X. Yes.
S squared.
X
Yes.
squared.
Lista mo na yan. 2 S squared. And then how about T? What's the lowest exponent for T? Obviously, T. Here. Ayan. So, 2 S squared T. That's the greatest monomial factor. Now, give me the polynomial inside. Anong na matitira sa loob ng polynomial? So 2s squared t times ano yung nasa loob ng parenthesis? What would be inside the parenthesis? Sige, Maymay, no need to ask for a break. No, if that's for CR or water break, no problem. I just go on. No, in my class is a continuing even in face to face, you just raise your hand and you go out, no problem. So that could be yeah, no problem. James, give me the polynomial inside. Kasi yun yung monomial factor mo, 2st. Ano yung nasa loob ng polynomial ngayon? Look at this.
3 except.
What's the first term?
3.
Saan yung 3? Hindi, dito muna tayo. 12s squared t squared. Pag in-extract mo yung 2s squared t, diyan anong matitira? What will remain? James, if you extract or divide 2s squared t with 12s squared t squared, what would remain? What would be the remaining variable?
If I divide it to 6.
Umpisahan ko sa 2. Tinanggal mo yung 2 sa 12, anong may
10.
Hindi, we're not talking of addition here. We're talking here of factors. Factoring tayo eh. So matitira 6. Tinanggal mo yung 2 eh. 2 times 6, 12, di ba? So 6.
Yep po.
S squared. Tinanggal mo yung S squared. Anong matitira sa S squared dito?
S.
Wala na. Wala ka nang maiiwan. S squared yun eh. We factor out S squared, nothing will be left, right? So 6 and then t squared. When you factor out t, what would remain? When t squared, you factor out t, what would remain? Ano may iwan? Ano may iwan? James, ano may iwan doon? Meron ka ng 6 dito eh, 6s squared. Ito t. Ayan yung common factor natin. Ang tinatanong ko sa'yo, yung nasa loob. No? When you factor out from 12, you factor out 6, what remain is 2 rather. What remain 2s squared t. What remains on the first term is 6. You factor s squared to s squared, what remains is nothing, 1. You don't need to write that. Then t squared, you factor out t, what remains? It's t. James? Sige, do it on the second term. Yung 6, 5, s to the 5th, t to the 4th. For 6, you factor out 2, what would remain inside the parentheses? Ano yun?
That is 2, sir.
Hindi, 6 eh. 6, factor out 2, what would happen? What would remain? 6, parang sabi mo 6 divided by 2. Yan. In layman's terms. 3. How about s component? S to the 5th, you factor out s squared, what would remain inside? Anong exponent niya na?
Naman.
6 to the 5th, James, you factor out s squared, what will remain? Loss of exponent. It's s to the 5th over s squared. What's the answer?
That is 2.
Hindi 2, 3. X cube. X cube, James. Laws of X cube eh. Ulit. X to the fifth. You divide it by x squared. That's your common factor. The answer is s cubed. Right? Hindi s squared. Yung s squared mo, ito na yun. Nasa lobas na yun. Na-identify na natin yung monomial factor. Alright? Oh, sige. T to the fourth. Oh, yung factor of t. What would remain inside the parentheses? T to the fourth. Tingnan mo yung original problem. You factor out t, what would remain inside the parentheses? James.
That is 4.
Paano naging 4 yun? 4 na nga ito eh. T to the fourth ka na oh. Ayan oh. Tinanggalan mo ng t. You divide t, you factor out t, what would remain? It's 3. James, it's 3. Kailangan mo sigurong review yung laws of exponent, James.
Yes po.
So plus, anong susunod dyan? 4. Factor out 2. So anong numerics mo?
Yung numeric, that is 2.
2. Yun. S to the fourth, factor out s squared. What would remain?
Square root of 2.
Ayan. So, s squared. Yung t, factor out t, ano maiiwan? James, ano maiiwan? Mula dun sa t, pinactor out mo yung t. Ano maiiwan sa loob ng parenthesis? May, you're still there? May?
Yes, sir. I'm back na po.
Instead of C, you answer letter D. Letter D na sagutan mo. Letter D. Mas madali. Pinadali ko. Kaysa yung letter C. Letter D sagutan mo, may.
Ay, okay po. Na-answeran ko na po yung letter C.
Ade, sabihin mo na rin yung letter C. Yung sagot mamaya. Pagkatapos namin kay James. James, anong mangyayari? Wala na si T. So, close parenthesis na lang yun. Let's analyze, James. Ito, ayan. Paano nangyari yun? Kaya, pag multiply mo pabalik yan, lalabas dapat yung original problem. So, 2s squared t times 60, 2 times 6 is 12. S squared, walang s squared doon, so babalik sa s squared. T times t squared. O, yung first term, lumabas. Hindi mo marinig, James? Hindi niyo ako marinig, guys? Bal, is my audio clear enough? Ayan, nawala si... Yung audio ko, okay lang? Bal? And May?
Yes po.
Nawala
Yes
si
po.
James.
Yes po, sir.
Sige, May, give me your answer for letter C. What's the answer?
Ano po, sir? 2xyz.
Okay, that's the common factor.
Then the inside the parenthesis po is x minus 3 plus 4yz squared.
Okay, correct. Very good. Sige, bonus. Sagutin mo na rin yung letter D. Ayan, letter D. Ayan, on the
Wait lang
spot.
po. I'm answering.
Sige,
Opo.
sige. Aaron, sagutin mo yung letter G. Okay, Aaron, can you answer letter G also? Ayan, while waiting, no? And perhaps I could give Val another item also. Letter E. Val, you answer letter E. So just raise your hand if you are ready to give the answers. Siguro kailangan mag-practice si James ng laws of exponent. Parang nalilito siya doon. May problem yung connection ni James Internet. The problem is the internet, no? Ayan, you have problem, James? Hindi ka
Yes po, yung connection ko nag-loss.
Sige. Pero okay na tayo dito, yung solution. You have question? So anong di mo magets dito? Yung sagot natin kanina sa letter B. James. Okay na sa'yo paano mo nakuha yung monomial factor. That's the first thing to do. Identify the monomial factor or greatest monomial factor.
Okay. Okay na po siya, sir.
Okay na? So yan, konting
Apo
review
lang,
siguro tayo na exponents, no? Saka yan, exponents.
Yes po.
Anyway, that would be our next topic. If we still have time today or next week. Okay? So we're on factoring. Okay, Maymay, Aaron, and Val, are you ready for your respective
I'm ready, sir.
yes. Please give me your answer for letter E.
My answer, sir, do I have to put it in order?
No need in any order.
Okay, so my answer is parenthesis 1 minus a parenthesis. Then the next part is 1 plus a, same process.
Okay.
And also then the last one is 1 plus a squared, sir.
All right. So correct. Now, if there are some problems in the future that there will be you're required to put it in order. Perhaps you may also if you will rearrange it properly, the ordered form would be a squared plus 1 times a plus 1 times a minus 1. So that's how the ordered the manner that you will, since variable
Yes, sir.
has a more priority over constants. So you
Yes, sir.
will put the variable first and then the constant. Okay? All right. So Maymay or Aaron, are you ready?
Ready na po.
Okay, go Maymay.
Okay po. 4y squared minus 100. So the answer is the first term is 2y plus 25. And then the second is 2y minus 25.
Okay. So, however, minus 25. Are you sure? 25 is the perfect square?
Mali. Wait na po.
Oh, sige. Okay lang. Kasi perfect square ba yung ano? 25 ba siya? Kasi kung 10, nasabi ko tuloy. Kung 100, 10 dapat, hindi 25.
Po, 10.
Okay? Oh, so what's your answer?
Ano po? 2y plus 10, then 2y minus 10.
Okay. Inspection 2y plus 10.
Apo.
Is there a monomial factor there? 2y plus 10. What's the monomial factor? And 2y minus 10. Is there a monomial factor?
No po. None.
Sigurado ka? Wala? By inspection, 2y plus 10. Both are even numbers. So what would be the monomial factor? May. Both are even numbers eh. 2y plus 10, di ba? Oh, anong pwede mo pang i-factor out? Ano pa yung pwede mo i-factor out dun sa binomial na yun? Hindi, sige, you just continue. Based on that, actually, partially correct na yung sagot mo. But, we could still reduce that into a simpler, to more, kasi it could still be factor out eh. 2y plus 10 could be simplified. It would be factor out. 2y minus 10 could be still simplified. So, you factor out both monomials. What would be the monomial factor? My mind.
Ano po? Y would be the monomial po?
2y plus 10. What's the common monomial factor there? Sige, i-ano ko. So 2y squared, di ba? You're saying it's 2y plus 10 times 2y minus 10. Oh, I'm saying that 2y plus 10 has a monomial factor. 2y minus 10 has a monomial factor. You factor it out further. What do you think, my mind? Obviously, 2. This is y plus 5. Tama ba, my mind? Times 2 again.
Yes po. 2
Y minus 5.
Y plus 5.
Oh, yes. Simplify. There are 2 2's. So, you could reduce the 2. 4 times y plus 5 times y minus 5. So, this is the factor. Okay, this is more simplified. But your answer is already correct, but still needs to be more simplified. Okay?
Okay po. Thank you.
Yes. Aaron, are you there? For letter G? If you still hear me, Aaron? Although you have internet issues? Alright, Aaron? Baka, normally, namamatay yung audio, no? Tama? Pag masyadong mahina, you cannot, though in my end, I'm already have a loud voice here on my room. But, ayan, sometimes, yun, hindi pa rin narinig because of the internet issues. Alright, let's move on. These are monomial factors. So, problems. I will be posting this to the don't read section. So, this is my first don't read section post. So I will post them to you. Okay, let me see. All right, so there are a lot of items here that could be asked to solve, no? Okay, James, are you there? Can you solve for yeah, letter Q? Letter Q, James, can you do that? And Val, can you solve for letter N?
Yes po.
All right. My, can you solve for letter T?
Sir, is that still factoring, right?
Yes, still factoring. Now find the factors.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Nakita ko may programa ng Linggo ng Wika. Nandun kaya si si Jimwell saka si Jo Marie. Pero may notice dapat si Ma'am Laari dito. Just raise your hand if you are already you're done. Or tell me audibly.
The answer.
Yes, go ahead.
My answer is xy parentheses 2x plus y 3y square, sir. Parentheses
Yes,
square.
correct. That's correct. Okay. My, you're ready? Yes, my.
My answer for letter T, sir, is monomial of 2z,
Okay.
and then with a trinomial of z squared plus 5z minus 14.
Okay, another question. Is it not factorable, the trinomial? Can you still factor out the trinomial? My.
Wait lang, sir.
Sige, I'm giving you time.
Yung cannot try.
James, you have your answer already, James? Letter
Sige
Q?
po, sir. Ay, kahit try letter Q.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Plus parenthesis siya. X negative 5 tapos times negative 12.
Teka. Sige, ulit. First, ito ay trinomial square. At trinomial to, it's not perfect, no? Okay. First is for you to know the factors of x. The factors of x, obviously, it's x and x. Tama? James?
Yes po. Yes
Okay.
po.
Sige. Rectify natin yan. So, letter Q yun. No? I'll just write here. So, x. Sorry. So, x. So, you have also x. That's the first. However, how will you know for the second term? Now, you look for the factor of 12. James, what are the possible factors of 12? Can you give me the factors of 12, James?
That is 6.
6 and 2. Correct. Ano pa? What else? 6 times 2 is 12. 3 and 4. Correct. 3 times 4 is 12. Ano pa? Tatlong pares yan eh. Ano pa?
It's 4.
4 times 3 or 3 times 4 is the same. What else? 6 times 2, 3 times 4. Ano pa yung huling factor ng 12? It's 12 times 1. 12 times 1, right?
Yes po. 12 times
2 and 6. Wait, no. 2 and 6, 3 and 4, and 12 and 1. Question. Anong sum? What among those factors, what factor will have a sum of 7? James. Among the factors of 12 that we have mentioned, what pair will have a sum of 7? James. Anong factor ang magkakaroon ng sum na 7? Yung 2 and 6 ba? James, 2 and 6, 2 plus 6 is 8. So it's not 7. How about 3 and 4? 3 plus 4? James?
Yes po.
7. Therefore, ano ngayon ang magiging factor mo? What would be the suited factor? Of course, 12 and 1 is 13. So hindi yun ang sagot. What would be the factors? Yes. Give me the factors now. X plus X plus what are the factors of 12 that has a sum of 7? 3 X plus 3 times X
4.
plus 4. Yan. Okay ba, James? So when you multiply it back, that will become the result. The Q will be the answer. Alright?
Yes.
Ayan. X plus 3 times X plus 4. That would be the answer. Okay, let's go back to Maymay. You have the answer already. Maymay? Thank you, James, for that. I'm not so sure when you get the negative 5, ah. I'm just curious, James. Saan mo nakuha yung negative 5?
7 minus 12, sir.
7 minus 12. Hindi yun yung tamang approach doon. So, dapat makuha mo muna yung factor ng x squared, xx, then factor ng 12. Then ililista mo yung factor ng 12. Dapat yung sum nila, middle term. 7x. Okay? So that would be the right approach to that. Okay? So yan, para hindi ka malito. Kasi kung may negative 5 doon, very odd yung negative 5 doon sa factor. So hindi siya actually factor ng 12 eh, yung negative 5. So it's never part of the factor of 12. So it's just 6 and 2, 4 and 3, 12 and 1. Unfortunately, it's 3 and 4 has the sum of 7, which is the middle term. 7x. Okay, Maymay? Thank you, James. And Maymay, you have your complete answer now?
Yes po.
Yes.
The answer is monomial of 2z and binomial of z minus 2 and z plus 7 po.
C plus 7. What's the other binomial?
Z minus 2.
Correct. Okay, so tatlo siya. Is monomial, dalawang binomial yung sagot. Okay? So guys, promise I will upload this part of your don't read section, no? So you could practice, but I will not anymore insert the answers because in your notes you have already the solved problem there. That will be sufficient. All right. So teka. Okay, maghanap pa tayo ng tingin ko sufficient na yan, no? Kasi exponent madali na yan eh. Or fraction, I think our next topic would be fraction, no? When we meet by next time, we will have practice sets, no? So I hope even online, no? I'll be prepared the online version for that. So ito mga explore pa rin yan. Like for this one, though we don't have much time, no? So meron din siyang similar. Ito dito tayo sa GCF LCM. Okay? So GCF LCM. Okay, I will assign 3. So you will tell me the GCF, greatest common factor, and the least common denominator of the factors. All right. So here, okay, I want letter A. James, kindly answer letter A. James, you're still there.
Yes.
And then, Okay, Maymay, I want you to explore on letter C. Letter C. And then, Bal, I want you to explore on letter E. Okay? Be the GCF and LCM. Aaron, are you there? Can you hear me, Aaron?
Yes po.
Okay, can you answer? Okay, letter B. Give me the GCF and LCM of letter B. Okay, Aaron.
B po.
Letter B, yes. LCM and GCF. See, I'm giving all of you time to do that. Letter B as in boy. Bravo.
It's your question, sir.
Yes.
The comma part, is that separated question?
I would assume it's minus. X to the fifth minus x squared.
No, I mean, sir, because x power 5 minus x, and then there's comma, and then another part. Is it
Yes,
like
x to the fifth
two
minus
separated?
x, comma, x to the fifth minus
Yeah.
x squared, comma, x to the fifth minus
Sorry,
x cubed.
Is that separated question?
These are
Separated,
three binomials that you need to find
it's
out.
three binomials.
You need to solve for the GCF and LCM.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, just raise your hand, guys, if you're ready to answer.
Done, sir.
Okay, Val, can you state your answer for the
Answer for
LCM first? GCF pala
X5
mo.
minus, sir?
The GCF
Yes, sir.
of letter E, right?
Yes. Is x parenthesis x squared plus 1, and then parenthesis x plus 1, parenthesis x minus 1.
Wait.
That's for the
Just give me the GCF, not yet the LCM.
Sorry.
What's your GCF?
my GCM is x, sir.
So the question is a little bit tricky, no? Of course, first thing you need to do is to factor out, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
for the
Factor
first
out
term,
the x. First term is x, since it is only one x, and then x2 plus 1.
minus 1, no? So that's the first term, right?
Oh,
And
yes,
the
sir.
second term, common is x squared. So you factor out x squared.
X squared and then x3.
So what remains is x cubed.
X cubed, sir, and then
Okay.
minus x minus 1. Okay.
Sorry, yes, minus 1. Then for the last term,
X cubed.
x
X
cubed.
cubed, sir.
Yes, x cubed.
So
X squared.
then times x squared minus 1.
Tell me the greatest.
The one is it. Okay, my greatest common factors is x. I factored out x.
Okay, monomial is x, correct? How about the groups of binomial? What is the common factor of those three binomials? There must be common.
Yes, sir. It's
Unless if there's no common to the binomial, the answer is x only. If you will factor out x squared minus 1, that will become x plus 1 times x minus 1, right?
yes, sir.
If you will factor out x cubed minus 1, that will become x minus 1 times x squared minus x plus x plus 1. All right? How about x to the fourth minus 1? What will be the factored form? X squared minus 1 times x squared plus 1.
Yes, sir.
However, x squared minus 1 is still factorable. So that becomes x minus 1 times x plus 1. Now, what is common among these three terms? No? So ano ngayon, in factored form, what will be the common term? What will be the common term?
X. Right, sir?
X minus 1, right? For all of these three terms,
yes,
you have x minus 1. So the GCF
Yes,
is
x minus 1.
x times x minus
X.
1. That's it. That's the GCF.
Yes, sir.
Now, the longer problem is the LCM. Now, I give you a clue, hint. You, the factored form. No? Of course, for the monomial, it's obvious that x cubed is one of the least common multiple. X cubed. Okay, my problem with my x cubed, no? So I have problem with my wireless. Okay, x cube is already part of the least common multiple. Now what is inside is the product of your factored form. Obviously, since x minus 1 is a greatest common factor, it will be part of your it will be part of your LCM. For the record, so the LCM PCF is x of your classmate 2 x. Now for LCM, you need to figure out everything, no? For the case of
including the three thing, the three process ups.
yes, we need to factor out the one that I have mentioned a while ago. So that will become x squared.
Yes, sir.
For a while. See, I'll be typing it here. No? Then you could synthesize from this. Then yung x squared minus 1 could be expanded to x plus 1.
X1 and x minus 1.
Yes, correct. That's the first factor. The second one is, of course, x squared.
X squared.
And then what will be the factor?
X squared plus x plus 1. This times x squared plus x plus 1.
This would be, wait. Of course, x minus 1. This difference of two cubes.
Two terms.
Or two terms, two cubes. So,
X squared
plus x plus 1.
plus x plus 1.
Alright,
So
that's the second term. And then for the last term,
the third term is x cubed
this one is
times x plus 1 and x minus 1.
Right, correct. From there, give me the LCM based on this listing. Of course, the highest monomial is x cubed. Again, that will be part of our LCM. LCM would be x cubed. Next. So there is no, so everything listed here now could be part of the least common multiple because there is no common. We cannot apply the hierarchy of the exponent here. So is x squared plus 1 included? What do you think? Or of course, x squared plus 1 is part, or the trinomial muna, trinomial, based on the hierarchy, no? So trinomial, I will write the trinomial first. X cubed times x squared plus x plus 1 times. So next to that is x squared. Oops. X squared plus 1. Next, what will be the next term? Then the 2, x plus 1, and then x minus 1. Okay, that will be the LCM because this is a combination of all of the terms distributed among these. So you have x cubed, monomial, but we will inspect, you have x squared plus 1 contributing to this, x squared plus 1 plus x plus 1 contributing, and then the common, more common is x minus 1, common to all, so you write it here also. X plus 1 is common to first and third term.
Yes, well.
Okay, so that's LCM. Yes.
So above the GCF,
okay.
You did the factoring out because I skipped that part. For example, what if were to be in the test or exam, I skipped that part. Is it like, should I put it in order? Like what you did, sir, above the GCF?
No need. It's okay.
So
It could be
I can
x
just
plus
skip
1
as long
times x, but it's by notation, or by general manner to write that if you will write the monomial first before the binomial. No, it should be x times x minus 1.
Okay, so
All right? So thank you,
yes, sir.
Bal. Okay, Maymay, are you ready for letter C? Maymay? Not yet. James, for letter A, James. Aaron, for letter B, if you're ready. Okay, I think they're not ready. It's okay. Okay, for James. Ano yan, James? LCM o GCF?
GCM po.
GCF. Teka. Sige, isa-isay natin, James, ha? Sa GCF, hanapin mo yung common factor ng 16 saka 24. Ano yung pinakamataas na number na magdi-divide sa 16 and 24? James. Pag greatest common factor, that's the highest number that could divide numbers, two numbers, like 16 and 24. Ayan. Think of a number, highest number that will divide 16 and 24. James. Let's start with 1. Pwede niyang i-divide ng 16 and 24. Pwedeng 2. Pwede? Diba? 16 over 2, merong sagot. 24 over 2, merong sagot. Pero hindi yan yung greatest. Pwede pa tayo sa is, o sa 4. 4 pala. 16 over 4, pwede. 24 over 4, pwede. May itataas ba yung 4? James.
Meron pa po, sir.
O ano? Anong number? Okay, ano? After 4, ano pa? Pwedeng i-divide sa 16 and 24.
6, sir.
6. 16 cannot divide 6. 16 over 6 is not integer. So it cannot divide 16. 24 pwede. Pero
24 po, pwede siya, pero sa 16 hindi po.
dapat pareho.
Sa 16, wala na po. That is 4 pinaka-greatest.
4 lang, sigurado ka? How about 8? 8 pa pwede? 16 over 8?
8, pwede rin. Divide 2? Yeah, pwede.
24. So 8 is the greatest common factor for the monomial, for the number. Okay, 8. So that's the first one. And then let's look at y. Y. Look at the least, the smallest exponent. Y squared versus y cubed, which is less than. Obviously, it's y squared, right?
Yes,
Tama ba,
y
James?
squared.
So 8 y squared. And then sa z naman, which is less, z to the fourth or z squared. So obviously it's c squared. Right?
Yes po.
Combining those three, what is the GCF? We have 8. And then sa y, ano yung sagot natin? 8. James?
Ito, sir.
Hindi, nabanggit na natin eh. dagdag mo na lang yung tatlo. Combine mo na lang. 8 y squared. Ano yung sumunod? James, 8 y squared. Ano yung sa C? Ano yung least common sa C?
Okay, sir, excuse me, maingay po kasi.
Oo nga, pero yan, you could hear me dapat.
Yes po.
8 y squared. Ano yung sumunod? Z squared. So that's the GCF. 8y squared z squared. Okay? So that's the, so type ko dito. So 8y squared
8
z squared.
and then z squared.
Alright? So that's GCF. O give me the LCM naman. LCM. So LCM naman, yung 3 sa yung 1624, mag-iisip ka ng number na pwedeng i-divide ng 16 sa 24. Ito for GCF, you will think of a number that will divide 16 and 24, the greatest. So we look for 8. No, we see 8 as the greatest factor of 16 and 24. Now, we think of a number where we could divide it by 16 and 24. The smallest number where we could divide 16 and 24, meaning we're looking for the multiples of 16 and multiples of 24. Kaya lang, least multiple. Least common multiple dapat. Okay, James? Ano yung pwedeng nating i-divide? Yung number na yun, i-divide natin sa 16 or 24. Hindi, masyadong mababa yan. Dapat mas mataas. Think of a number higher than 16 and 24 that you could divide 16 and 24. Yung GCF, yun yung pinakamataas. Yung 16 and 24, di-divide natin ng 8. Pwede. Pero sa LCM naman, in LCM, you will look for a number that could divided by 16 or 24. Think of a number. So we are looking for a multiple. Least common multiple. Okay? So you could start by counting 16 by 16s. James, 16, 32, 48, 60. Okay? Dapat may intersection dyan. Ganyan naman sa 24. Ano naman sa 24? Oh, 24, 48, 72. Ang tanong, ano yung pareho sa dalawa? Oh. James, I'm already showing you practical techniques to know the least common multiple. By 16, 32, 40, 60. Oh. 64 pala, 64. Oh, yung last number. Samantalang yung hindi 32. Not yet. No. Wala namang 32 yung 24 eh. Yung 24, 48, no? Ang susunod doon? 72. O ano yung common sa? Hindi 32. Walang 32 yung 24 eh. Ulit. 16, 32, 48. 64. That's yung 6 count by 16 yon. Yung 32, yung 24, 48, 72. Of which is common? James, which is common? 48. Hindi 28. 48. Oh, check mo na yan. 48. Yung numerics mo. 48. Doon naman sa Y, James, look for the highest. Oh, anong highest power of Y? Highest power of Y, 3. So 7y cubed. Highest power of Z is C to the 4th. So combine the 3. James. 48. Anong kanod? Yung sa Z na pinakamataas, ay yung sa Y, and then yung sa Z. or just on your chat box. Okay? While waiting for James, Mai, you have... Oh, James, anong sagot?
Again, sir, 48 Y.
Oh, anong... Pinakamataas na power of Y. 48 ano? 48 Y. Inspect mo na lang, James. Ayan, no? Dito, oh. Pinakamataas sa Y, Y cube. Pinakamataas sa Z, Z cube. Combine the three. 48. Maingay. Hindi ka ba pwedeng umalis sa punta sa tahimik? Kasi hindi conducive sa pag-aaral talaga yung maingay. Dapat mayroon ka, James, na ano talaga, lugar. Hindi kailangan na na soundproof. Hindi kailangan ganon. Basta it's just a place that where you could focus. Alright? So hindi naman pwedeng mahirap talaga yan kung yung puro ingay pala dyan naririnig mo. The fact that you are online, so dapat mag-a-adjust ka. Hindi yung you need to adjust your environment. Alright? O kaya kung pwede mong pagsabihan yung maiingay, di ba? Sino bang maingay dyan? James, sino maingay? Pagsabihan mo. Oh, 48. At dagdagan mo na lang, James. Binanggit ko na nga yung tatlo eh. Combine mo na lang. Yun na yung least common multiple mo. 48. I-type mo na lang dyan. Ayan, parang maingay pa rin doon sa lugar ni James. Oh, May, anong sagot mo? May. Ayan, magtanghalian na. Or Aaron, whichever, who are done already.
Sir, sa akin po.
Oh, yes, go ahead. What's your GCF?
Sir, GCF po for letter B is 3. 3 po.
Kulang. Obvious naman, may mga variable ka pa.
3 R is to the power R squared and S squared.
Ayan, correct. So that's the correct GCF. Give me your LCM.
252.
Okay, correct. Ano pa?
R raised to the power of 5 and S raised to the power of 4 and T raised to the power of 5.
Ayan, tama. Tama yan. Okay, correct, Aaron. Good. Saan ka bang, ang location mo, Aaron?
Isabela po.
Isabela? Nandiyan ka pala sa, dyan kay Pastor Talaber? Tama?
Opo.
Ayan. So, sige. Okay yung sagot mo. Tama yun. Okay, James, back to you. What's your answer, James? So, thank you, Aaron, for that quick answer. So hindi tayo makakapagsimula ng exponent next time na. Sana yung ako naman ng malakas ang signal kasi kung Bethany, I won't connect to the Wi-Fi of Bethany because daming gumagamit nun. So I'll be bringing my broadband. Hopefully ayos ang connection natin. James, yung sagot mo naman, James. I-type mo na lang, James. Yung constant mo 48 and then yung sa Y and then yung sa Z, yun yung LCM. Maymay. Maymay. Maymay, ikaw na, time's up ka na, Maymay. Habang may problema yung connection ni James eh. Kahit yung GCF lang, anong GCF, Maymay? Na letter C. Oy, wala munang kainan ha. Bawal pa mag-lunch, di pa tayo tapos. Yan, di ko man kayo nakikita, alam ng Panginoon yung ginagawa. Man. Hindi, joke lang yun ha. It's a joke. Maymay, you have the answer? Even for GCF? Yan. Okay, so I'll tell you the answer. Okay, factor out. So what will be the factor? First, factor out your for letter C. No, I'm solving for letter C. So factor out x. So the first term I will factor out x squared. X rather. Sorry. So x minus 2y. So what will be the partner, Maymay? Give me the partner. X minus 2y, x minus y. Tama ba? Nalilito si Maymay. Okay lang yan. So these are the factors. You need to factor out x squared plus minus 3xy plus 2y squared. Alright, so this is the factor. Can you see Maymay? Factor 1. And then for the second, I need to reduce my... Ay, lalo lumaki. Alright? So, of course, for the second term, you need to factor out 4. That's a common factor. So 4x squared minus 4xy plus 4y squared. So what's that? So that's actually x minus 2y squared. That's the factor. Can you see my mind? So yan, sagot na yan. So what is the common factor? Greatest common factor, my mind. Based on these two. So I already factored for you. So x minus 2y times x minus y. Then you have 4 times x minus 2y squared. What would be the greatest common factor? Obviously, what is common? There's only one common. So that is x minus 2y, correct? From there, you could draw already your LCM by gathering information. Yung 4, it's part of LCM. Yung x minus 2, you the highest exponent, which is squared, and x minus y. Those 3 items, type it on the chat box. The one that I mentioned for your LCM. Okay? May? What will be the LCM? Okay. So, ang magiging LCM natin, una, yung GCF mo, GCF is equal to, obviously, x minus 2y. That's GCF, right? Then yung LCM, it's a combination. It's a combination. 4 is there. Highest power of x minus 2y quantity squared is there. Okay? Minus 2y. X minus 2y squared. Ano pa? Yung x minus y. Okay, naano na yung ano ko. May, did you get it? 4 is there. X minus 2y quantity squared. No? Ano lang yung aking ano. Stubborn apps. I cannot type anymore. Yun. Yan. And then yung x minus y. That's the LCM. May, did you copy? May? So that's the complete LCM. Okay, Bal, you have some comment on that? And Aaron?
No, sir.
Okay na kayo, May. So yun yung buo, no? Okay. So I want you to read, reread the uploaded article, no? So all of the possible questions are there already on the solved problems. Okay? I want you to practice on this, and then sooner or later, I'll be uploading all of the supplementary problems. Now, you need to practice, now, because the key for success in mathematics is practice and consistency. Though sometimes we are stubborn, we just practice in one time, but we're not consistent. It will fail you. You need to consistently practice. Even me, as a professor of math, I'm still practicing in all areas of mathematics. Now, from basic algebra to advanced calculus, no? So I'm still practicing. In fact, I'm right now in our church, we have a ministry of math tutorials for junior high school. I'm now tutoring grade 10. Imagine a college professor tutoring a grade 10 or even grade 8. No, because I really would like to practice consistently, no, even in my part. So the key there, no, is for you to read, apply by looking at the solved problems, and then eventually you solve in your own through the supplementary problems. Okay, that's the key for success in mathematics, not only in algebra, but in all disciplines, sub-disciplines of mathematics. Okay, so I think that would be, so I hope that is okay with you, James, Bal, and May or Lidilma and Aaron. No? So that's my suggestion. And for the 3 or absent today, so I wonder, no? So by next week, Lord willing, we'll be face to face. I'll be discussing first fractions as part of our so I'll be dealing with fractions here, special products, factoring, and then fractions. There, fractions, algebraic fractions, and then we have exponents. Sunod yan, exponents, radicals. Exponents, radicals, anyway, it will be until week number 5 based on our schedule. No, radical expression. So all of these techniques, though this is not done in the pacing that for high school, it is spread for 1 year. But for us, it's just for some few days or few sessions. Okay. Okay, guys, you have clarification before we close in a word of prayer? Thank you for your participation. Okay, have comments? Okay, so sige. All right, thank you. Let's close in a word of prayer. I hope you read ahead of me, guys. No, I encourage you to read materials for fractions. Not the per week schedule that I have given to you. Read it, and you have a discipline on that. Practice on the problem sets, and then eventually, when I pop up new items, you could solve already because you already have a background on that. So your reading is an essence for math professor or teacher. No? So ayan. So I have problem with my broadcast, but nevertheless, so sige, let's continue. No? So see you guys next week. Okay, let's close in a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity where we could continue our discussion. We devoted our time in factoring, GCF, LCM, and we will be starting topics in fraction and exponents and radicals sooner or later. I hope and pray, Lord, that you will continually guide us, give us insight, the students, diligence, consistency, and discipline that they need so that they may succeed on the ministry, on the profession that they have enrolled into, particularly the Bachelor of Secondary Education major in mathematics. So help them, Lord. Be gracious to us as we continue to become a channel of blessing to each other. This is our prayer in Christ's name. Amen. Okay, thank you guys. See you next week at Bethany. We'll be there. God bless us all. Bye-bye.
Thank you po. Bye po.
Okay, God bless you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.